Hey, 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 it is Monday. Good evening, and glad to see you all. I know it's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you, but sometimes these things happen. This man on the other side of me, talent, y'all know he's back out here. He's on the road. He's making people laugh all around the country and doing what he does best, finding incredible people and putting them in places to do incredible things. This is what makes this man not his
Yeah.
namesake. He's not only that, he's that in he's actually the man encompassed in that all. My partner in crime, my good friend, how was the weekend? How are you today? What's going on, brother?
My brother, splendid weekend, super duper dope weekend. God followed us every step of the way and blessed us with show after show after show of funny and good people coming out. I just had I found a picture my son took of me on, I believe, Friday night or something, just like sipping the beer, the Heineken. And I liked the joint so much. I just put that up there, like, here's to you guys, and shout it out everybody that I could think of that was a part of it. My weekend started last week on a Wednesday, so weekend Wednesdays was in Harrisburg. I thank the promoters and people out there. Then Thursday we did two shows of the Rugers. Friday we did two shows of the Rugers. So in those 2 days, everybody was there. Of course, my good friend Damon Williams came to town. He tore that shit. Forget about it. That's like I could set my watch to him. He's one of the few people in this game that I could bring him up and walk away and do whatever and know I'm going to be in great hands. So Damon Williams repping Chicago, one of Chicago's finest. My son Talon came through. Julio came through. Julio Diaz, Tony Bird, Aldo was out there. My man Just Ray out of Jersey. DJ Jess was on the set both nights.
Wow.
So Jess was celebrating, and he had a party. He did Thursday and Friday, and they had a party Saturday. So he had all his Rochester family come down. It
Ah,
was about 12, 15 of them came down in a group
nice.
to celebrate with him. So Rochester was in the building. Appreciate them. Then we went over to the Woman of Color Expo, which was, let me tell you something. That's what I want to start off talking about. Shout out to my peoples, Nathan and Black Excellence, and those guys that put on their things, their festivals every year. This It was in the DoubleTree ballrooms on Fort Lee off of Route 4, right over the bridge. But this was stupendously done, bro. He had over 100 vendors. I want to
Mm,
say they were using one, two, three, four, five, six, probably about six ballrooms,
wow,
right?
nice.
So they opened up all these ballrooms. So they had about six ballrooms. And brother, when I tell you, it was nothing you couldn't buy in there, other than maybe a car. And I'm not even sure about that. It might have been a car dealer had a little booth set up, just didn't have the cars upstairs. You know what I mean? But they
Uh-huh.
had everything. It was so crazy, man. You go up in there and you go down in the lobby and breathe a little bit, or go outside and take a break, because you want to be conscious of your support and spending, because it was all about, not just women businesses, black women businesses, but us buying black, period. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then they did that till about 5 o'clock. And then they shut the doors and revamped and changed a little bit of the setup in the main ballroom, because we had the Women of Color comedy thing. So I shout out to my girls that came through for me: Monique Latisse, Shatara Curry, Onika McLean was ripping it up, and my girl Chanel Renee. All four of them, 4 for 4, bang 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 bang. It was crazy. So shout out to everybody who made that happen. Great weekend. Like I said, Rochester was in the building. Um, we had a good time. I mean, but it was just felt good to be in a state like that. When I walked around, first of all, you forget how many people you know or know you. So that's take up whatever time it does. But I'm just really looking at the stuff. There was a brother in there with his own alkaline water with the healing properties, but
Nice.
the medical joint, not just the traditional one they tell you is alkaline, selling in the store. He had
Uh-huh.
he was like, yo, T, this is the medical one, bro. So, don't get crazy. If you feel a little lightheaded, it's working on you. Ain't nothing wrong with you. I was like, this dude don't even know. I ain't gonna know what to do to me because the edibles. So, I'm chasing the edibles with the alkaline. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not gonna know the difference of it anyway, which I really didn't.
Mhm,
I bought a gallon, and
mhm.
I bought a gallon, and he threw in like two other little bottles. But it was just great, man. I found some great shea butters. Like I've never seen so many type of shea butters.
Gotcha.
Mask. Young lady had
Gotcha.
some real creative masks. My man in there, he's gonna meet me next month when I go back to Arugas. He had some really dope art on denim. He had art
Mm.
on denim that was crazy. I was like, yo, I need that vest. I need them jeans. He was like, yo, I just sold your size. He said, but I got it. And it was coincidental. I said, where you based at? He said, I'm in Plainfield. I said, bro, I'm in North Plainfield every month at Arugas. He said, I lived up the block from him. I was like, yo.
Wow.
Gave him my sizes. I said, yo, let's meet on this day. Let's get it popping. So that worked out. That was great. So shout out to everybody that made the weekend successful, you know what I mean, and dope. We was talking to Prophet Pete off the air, and there's a bunch of new programming and documentaries out and stuff like that. I know Colin Kaepernick got a joint.
Okay.
And you know what's funny is that he brought it up is I seen it in passing, right? And the
Okay.
only reason I didn't click on it, this is gonna sound fucked up. As a black man saying it's gonna sound fucked. The only reason I didn't click on it, had I knew it was Colin Kaepernick, I ain't gonna lie, I would have watched it. I wasn't ready to watch it because when I seen Colin, I thought it was Colin Powell
Gotcha.
because he
Gotcha.
just passed. You know what I mean? So when I
Yes.
seen
Mhm.
Cole, and I read it like Cole, like, oh, they
Got
got
it.
it. I said, damn, they ain't wasting no time. They got a fucking Colin
Join up
Powell joint
already.
out, right? I said, but right now I can't get set up in that mind space because I'm in the middle of my work weekend. So as I'm gonna
Yeah.
circle back, maybe today, maybe tomorrow when I'm a little, off my work brain where I could, because I put different hats. I don't know about you. I put different hats on at different times. Like if
Yes.
I can help it anyway. Like, I mean, we
Yes.
can't help some bad news, but if I can help it and I know I'm gonna watch something real serious, it's gonna change my mood for a moment. So I'm not gonna throw that on and I know I'm about to walk on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
So
do the same thing.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. The weekend was good. Um, I really just took it easy. What made the weekend good? Let's just give it up. Our goddamn Jets won. Fuck it. Let's give a shout out to the
Yes, yes, yo, yo, yo,
side. Yeah.
yo.
T, T,
No, we
look,
we
look,
ain't
look.
just win. This was very. Let me put something to you. Back to back. This weekend we had back to back monumental important games for our teams.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Knicks had a big test this weekend by beating the only undefeated team was Chicago over here in the East, and to beat them, and you know what I'm saying, that was a
Yeah.
test. And on the road, that was a big
Yes.
fucking test. Like, okay, we
All
might
right.
be solid for real, for real. And then fast forward 2 days later, yesterday, the Jets
The
beat a
Jets.
solid team as well
And they
with a
did it.
horrible record.
And they did it in the way that they should have been playing thus far the entire season, which is doing all the little things. The
Yeah,
problem for me with the Jets and the Giants this year is both teams seem to be letting the small things not be what they focus on. So, for instance, we'll watch the games and they'll miss a tackle or something simple, and you'd be like, okay, that's tackling 101.
come on,
The
come on.
next series they'll throw a play that'll be the dude will drop it in the basket down the sideline. You'd be like, how did this nigga concentrate and get that play off? But y'all couldn't tackle the series before. Like, what are we doing? So that was, to your point, I was so excited. But here's what I really was excited. So my mom, growing up, my mom really didn't watch football with us. My dad was a big football fan, and obviously you got four boys. We watching football, and that was on Sunday. My mom called me yesterday. She said, baby, did you watch the game? I said, wait, mom is hype about the Jets win? That's how I knew it was a big win. Mom called me and she was psyched about it. She was like, baby, that was a great game. She said, oh
Yo,
my God. She said, I still don't understand all the dynamics of it. All I know is my team won and I feel great about it. So all I could do was smile. I was like,
if you
you make
watch
my...
the game, bro, it
Yes,
was because it felt like it had a playoff feeling.
yes,
Because
yes.
especially when dude, by no fault of his own, those two interceptions back to back drove me fucking insane. Because they both happen the same way. Some guy gets a tip on it, and then another guy gets it and run. I was so mad. Like, yo, are we fucking crazy right now? But he stood in there. My man, Mr.
Kept
White,
making.
Mike White stood in there and did what he had to do and made it happen. So I agree with you. That did cap it off as a great weekend.
It capped it off as a great weekend. So so we had that. The weather was relatively, nice. At least it got better, late Saturday on into yesterday. So it was a, great thing. And then today, we jumped off. Let's be clear. It is November 1st, which for all intents purposes is the start of Thanksgiving festivities for
Season,
those of
yeah.
us who, participate in that. And it's the start of the holiday season, the last rush of the holiday season for the year. So I was excited about it because, this is a time, and especially when we take into consideration, and, last year, this time, so many of us were disheartened, we were saddened, we were going through, a number of turmoil, having lost friends and family and all kind of stuff. And this year, thankfully and hopefully, more people will have the opportunity to get together, be in and around one another, celebrate each other, fellowship, and, do all of those wonderful things. So I was really, really excited about that because I'm like, I know there's going to be some great stories of people finally getting together to have those Thanksgivings again, be around grandma,
Right.
be around mom, be around dad, and just like I said, be around your family, laugh, joke, enjoy each other, and truly, I think this time around appreciated much more than might have been appreciated in recent years because now people will really be looking at us like, look at little man, little Shaquana, she's still doing these dances. Y'all know she fast, but it's
Now it's
okay.
funny you say that because the funny thing you say that I seen a show. I think it was this morning. I was getting dressed, and the question was dope. I thought it was a really cool question. The question was, at all the holidays, which holiday would you like to see more of through the year? Like, you know what I mean? More times than once a year. And, people had all these holidays for their reasons. And then somebody said, now, mind you, let me say this first. But let me preface this with Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Well, all my life it was, right? So somebody said Thanksgiving. And I was like, hey, that's my favorite holiday. Then, like, not even 10 seconds behind how I felt about it, I had to reserve and pull back and go, wait a minute. As much as I love Thanksgiving, I don't think it would work. And I'm going to tell you why, because Thanksgiving is so special that I think if you did it more in the same year, it would lose a lot of that special oomph.
Yes,
Am I right?
I agree.
Like when you think of a holiday where that's redundant and you keep doing it, I can see people doing Halloween 2-3 times a year. I could see because that's a party favorite. People do it anyway. They do
Yeah.
masquerade parties and
So now, like, yep.
90s and 80s and then you know what I mean. So
Uh-huh.
that can run concurrent. You can do that shit every month, every other month. Valentine's you can do. People who are into Valentine's. I can see them doing that. But to me, something like a Christmas and a Thanksgiving and like a New Year's. Even birthdays. I think if you do it more than that one annual, you lose something special about
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because the holidays, like you said, that you just listed, and this is what's so weird because one year I was in actually Mexico for Thanksgiving.
it. Right.
I'll never forget how weird it felt because it was Thanksgiving. I was in Mexico, and to everybody else, it was a normal Thursday. I was like, "What the fuck? It's Thanksgiving. What's wrong with y'all? How are y'all not excited about Thanksgiving?" But I found out they was like, "Nigga, it's Thursday here. Like, what are you talking about? We don't, we don't, we don't care. Like that's it's Thursday. We
No,
don't
that's
care."
that's some real shit. Like, so if
But
you do that, that would be very interesting. Like, let me ask you a question. If you could,
yes,
would you do more than one birthday?
me no, because and this is gonna sound funny to most people. Like I said, my birthday, as wonderful a celebration as birthdays are and should be, for
Mm-hmm.
me, I first and foremost, I'm really always thankful that these two beautiful things open up on that day, more so than anything. I don't know about anybody else, and maybe this sounds it's just going to sound strange when I say this, but I feel like usually when we hear of people passing, doesn't it always seem like it was either just after their birthday or just
Or just
before? You
before,
like,
yeah.
You'd be like, God damn, like they only had 2 more days or another, day or so, and whatever. So I always feel like that day in particular is one of the most amazing and special days in the world because it was the day, thankfully, the universe decided to bring your specific energy to the world at large. So for me, that day in itself is always amazing. The days that surround it and all the other things that go along with it, I think we work diligently if we're smart and mindful enough to find our passion and or our gift so that then we can share that with the world. So that way, technically, it seems like every day is that holiday or every day is that day to celebrate. So for me personally, I just, I like that one day. I'm good. I appreciate the text messages, the calls, everything that goes along with it. And even the people who don't, I know it's so funny. We live in a world now where everybody, oh, well, this person didn't reach out to me, whatever. And I always think to myself, again, the world is always constantly moving. Do y'all know how many, conversations I have with people who go, how's your brother? And I go, well, he's pretty much in the same state he was from 2000. Like he's gone. So, but
Right.
people don't, we kind of forget because life goes on. You know what I mean? We're always in a constant, perpetual state of, moving on. So I really, appreciate that. And I think that birthdays ultimately to me are the one holiday that you should always celebrate. But I get it when people, I'm celebrating for the month, I celebrate for the year. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's a lot on it, but okay.
Well, did you read down here? Adrian just put some say, well, why wait till one day out of the year to celebrate on the back of a massacre? Now, here's my thing. She said, look, have one. First of all, Adrian, it's Motivation Monday. Lighten up, calm down, calm down. Let's not just go to the massacre, okay? Let's look at it like the N word in the community. We've transformed the N word over a number of decades so that it doesn't mean what it was meant to mean. And I understand that. And whether you abolish the N word, don't use the N word, still do in the hood, whatever. I look at it like the vaccine. You're at no fault with me, whether you still use it or don't use it, because I understand what it is. So here we are. Fast forward, a century or so. When you look at Thanksgiving, we especially as people of color have adopted this holiday and transformed it into something, believe it or not, even though we wasn't here and massacred the indigenous people to have a Thanksgiving and corn and all that, we need it. We need a day to calm the fuck down and acknowledge loved ones and try to get as many people or be around the ones you love because of the way the world has us moving every day throughout the year. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's not bullshit ourselves. We do need that. None of us are above and beyond that. As a matter of fact, so some of us in entertainment need it more than the average Joe. But either way, it is a holiday that I think comes in handy because if you take away Thanksgiving, you will. What do people always say? Like I hear this at every fucking funeral and wake and repast I've been to my whole life. We gotta get together, y'all. We only time the family get together when somebody died. I'm tired of seeing people because we sending somebody off and they died and blah 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 blah. So it don't have Thanksgiving doesn't have to forget the origin because a lot of things start one place, end up in a whole nother place. You know what I mean? What you did to get there is one thing. What I did knowing better after that is a whole nother thing. You understand what I'm saying? It's like what was I watching? And they went back to this week tonight. You ever watch that with John Oliver on HBO this
No,
week tonight? Very
I've
dope
heard.
show. Very dope
Mhm.
show. He does a very great job. And he was focusing last night. It comes on Sundays. He was focusing on homelessness, right? And he was breaking down homelessness. And he was like, he made a very valid point. How we look at people who are homeless is this conditioning that has been plagued on us, like a lot of stuff that's been poisoned in your brain from whether it's newspapers, media, whatever the case may be, television, rumor, hearsay. But we have this thing in our head, and he plays a clip from the 80s when fucking President Ronald Reagan said out his mouth, calling them like these people choose to be homeless. Like they're fucking up the system, the
By
overall economy and system of capitalism in America by choosing to be homeless. Nobody's fucking choosing to be homeless. Let's get that shit straight. The people who are forced into this predicament, there's several different things that come into play before a person gets there and have to be homeless. Trust me, nobody's like, oh, I just want to sleep on the street. Oh, I don't want a stove. I don't want a hot meal. I don't want a roof on my head when it's raining. I don't want to be warm when it's cold. I don't want to wash my head. Trust me, outside of mental illness, nobody wants that. You know what I'm saying? So I say that as an analogy to prepare for this horrific holiday that came about that end up being transformed, especially in our community, into something that we need. Because if we don't have a day to get together, our immediate family, and sit down and cut everything off and things be closed and we can just love on each other, then I'll see you at the repass.
yeah,
And I don't want to just see you at the repass. You know what I'm saying? So I know you're just trying to motivate, but I don't think our people ain't caught up in that. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, a lot of people, most black people, had to learn after the fact what the fuck it really was about.
that's one. And then
Myself included. I used to just enjoy Thanksgiving, and then you get to
until
school, and the teacher's like, no, the Indians, they gave us corn and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. I'm
and
like,
then
well,
and then let's be clear to Adrian's point. Whether we want to acknowledge this part of it, you all know that it also now has gone back to a form of savagery because Thanksgiving is, what it is. It's a time for us to come together, time for us to, like I said, be around loved ones, enjoy each other, nap, guys watching the game, the ladies, speaking about whatever. And then midnight happens and Black Friday hits. And we put on our best riot gear and we run to Best Buy, the mall, and every place else that we can think of. And it becomes a gladiator sport trying to get that 55-inch TV and all the things that go along with it.
and you know what's
So
crazy? But see, that again, this is a choice. Now, this is a choice option because I have never, and I mean never, not even bullshitting, participated in Black Friday.
I'm with you. I'm
I've
with you, but
never, I've never bought anything on Black Friday. I've never went to a store. I've never sat on a line, not even online, bro. I've never bought anything on Black Friday. Now, that's barring waking up and getting a cup of coffee, like my normal Friday shit, egg and cheese or some shit like that. But I've never, fucking
participated. No,
participated in it because I didn't believe it.
I don't believe in it as well. And I but I'm using that jokingly because it just goes to show you again how we can be programmed for just about anything. The same way, like you said, we have our uh, disdain for this particular holiday and what goes on supposedly with the holiday. We have these other things that they have sort of pivoted us into, which is this whole Black Friday ideology of supposedly saving money. Now, if you do follow the trend as a whole, though, they say that particular day and the days to follow it, the next 3 or 4 days to follow it, they say that is when the most money in the entire world is spent, believe it or not. So that's to show you how powerful that day is and those
Yeah.
days are. So again, we can be motivated into anything. You know,
But
unfortunately,
somebody's like, "Oh, you're missing out." No, I'm not. Here's the thing. Let me tell you why I've never participated in Black Friday. If you've had the opportunity to work in that area of consumership, like if you work behind the scenes of this, then you will understand that Black Friday, what you guys think are sales, is bullshit.
yes,
They are numbers that they allow themselves one day to sell things at because the markup is so high. So when I worked in retail, something like clothes, when they come up on what they call a sale day, all they would do is mark the item up to mark it down to where it normally would be. But to you, when you see what they say it should be and you see where it is, oh my God, I'm getting it for
I'm
half
killing it.
price. No, that's the
That's
Regular
the
price.
normal
I just
price.
told you it was higher, so you can see me mark it down, and it makes you feel like you saved so much fucking money. But I've worked on the other end of that, even in the food and beverage, even in the retail of clothing and all this stuff, the department store stuff, and even in sound and equipment. Like everyone does it, and the same thing goes for when you're on the other side, right? You're on the consumer average Joe side, and you go to be a customer for somebody else. They mark it up so they have wiggle room, to get down to a certain point, and they cut you a deal. Well, you think you got a deal. No, you got what they was renting it
What they
out
were
for.
gunning for.
And then when they
Yeah.
get to the holidays, they mark it up and tell you they marked it up because of the holidays. If
Yeah.
you go, like if Amir wants to rent a hall right now today for his birthday, and the hall might be $2,000 for 5-6 hours. Amir was like, okay, that's not bad. I could do that. I could do that. And then he goes back, he have a good time, and you go back and say, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to get I had so much fun, I'm going to get my family back together for New Year's. And then as soon as you go to the hotel, that 2,000 is now 4. And you're like, oh, I just rented it for 2. It's New Year's.
Yeah. Yep.
America's built on that. Sales and markups, sales and mark. It's the yin and the yang, sales and markups. But you don't know if you're not behind the scenes. So to you on paper, it looked like what it looked like. It's a whole trick to this thing. Now I learned all this shit as a young kid growing up in retail. The reason why people, let me tell you something, and this is a fact. In class, when you go to school for this shit, they teach you, and I know a lot of motherfuckers don't even think about this shit, but it works. Do you know why you see the number 99 on everything in America? Because they teach you that people automatically round off in dollars. So if something is 10.99, and the greasy grubber who don't know nothing, just getting into business, like, well, fuck it, we're gonna make it $11. No, 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 no. You make it 10.99 because in the consumer's brain, it's still $10. The minute you click past 99 into the dollar, the person rounds it and they bring to the dollar. But if it didn't go past the 99, they rounded, believe it or not, it's 99 cents. It's 1 penny from being a whole fucking dollar. But in our brain, the way we were taught, you will go back and round it. The 10 catches you and not the 99, like $11. So a
Hmm.
lot of people, that's where the 99 comes from. That's an old consumer trick that here we are, 4, 5, 600 years later,
Still
still there.
using. Yep. Facts. And again, that's why our motivational Mondays are so fun for us because, as you can see, we speak on varying topics and varying things because we need our fan base. We need all of you beautiful people who tune in every week. So, like I said, not only take the stuff that we're saying and sharing with you, but again, like I said, share this within your circles because the more educated we all become, because it's not just about the few of us who are here and now, it's about all of us in the circles that we're in, all having the same information, having the
Yes.
same kind of train of thought to build a better situation for everyone, not just the 1 or 2 people who you like or whatever the case may be. There's a whole free world that we have to deal with on a constant basis, where we have to do what we can to try to get the masses. And again, you're not going to get everybody because, to the point Talent just made about the 99, there's a whole bunch of y'all who's in that category. Y'all ain't gonna round up to the next dollar. You just won't. It's not in your DNA. You're not structured like that. You're not built like that, and it's okay. But at least now you kind of have an idea about it, and you can start to look at things from other prisms and other perspectives. I tell you guys all the time, everything is about perspective. I don't care what it is. They giving you all this stuff. Like I said, we talk about all these things. Y'all see the world in the current state that it's in. Oh, everybody's got to be vaccinated. Y'all see the sanitation department, the police department, you name it. Niggas is like, I ain't rolling. I don't believe in it. I'm not rocking with you. Whatever, whatever. It's causing all kind of drama every way imaginable. And it's not to put anybody on blast because I told y'all when we started this whole thing even months ago when they first were rolling it out. Whatever your choice is your choice.
Right.
However, it should be your choice. It should be not somebody making a choice for you. That's not fair to any human being. I don't care who you are. For those of you who are caught between a rock and a hard place. It is, and I'm gonna say this, and you can go look it up when you get a moment. It is unconstitutional for them to force you to get a vaccine. Now, here's what you need to know about the Constitution. The Constitution is the absolute law of the land, not what you hear lawmakers make up, not what you hear judges make up. The Constitution. And if you think I'm lying, I need all of y'all to take a moment, put your thinking hats on. Every time you see an elected official get elected, they always have to say an oath. If you're trying to figure out what that oath is supposedly to uphold the Constitution. Every single elected official. So if they're upholding the one piece of paper that we all need to know about, what does that tell you?
Mm.
See, nobody wants to have that conversation, because if you have that conversation, then some of us got to look at ourselves sideways like, wait a minute, they've been lying to us all this time. Ding, 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 ding. So I
There you
say that
go.
as not a way to, to piss anybody off or to upset anybody. What I'm telling you is, please, y'all, we got to start doing our due diligence and understanding that it is a constitutional right for them not to ask you to vaccinate yourself. Not if you go to school, not to be in public places. There's a lot of things that they, do that we are not aware of because, fortunately, unfortunately, we don't know the law the way that we could and we should. A lot of us
Wow.
don't find out about it. We don't understand it until, unfortunately, we find ourselves in spaces and in places where we now have to learn it. You guys have seen story after story of people who have been wrongly accused of things, had to go to the law library, really go through them books and find how they were railroaded and or just totally mistreated by the judicial system. So please, guys, like I get it. I know everybody is scared. I know, you got that, but we've also been telling you since day one, get your health in order. That's easy to do.
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
definitely.
I know you don't like fruits and vegetables, but guess what? They like you.
Who don't
That's what's
like
going to
fruits
help
and
maintain you.
vegetables?
You got people, you'd be surprised, T. Look, I get in a conversation sometimes with people who don't like water. I'd be like, what? They'd be like, man, I don't really fuck with water. I said, how do you not drink? I said, do you know that water is a lifeline? First of all, most of the world is made of water, is composed of water. I don't know how you don't know that, but let's just start there. Most of the world, your body is composed predominantly of water. But again, this is stuff that people don't know because we've been duped into believing that a slushy, a Coke, some of this interesting stuff that we, decide that is, the end all, the be all. We go down these paths, and before you know it, you're so deep in a rabbit hole that you can't pull yourself out. I get it. Look, as I tell y'all all the time, I like all the same crazy stuff y'all like. I do, but I have to think about it and go, is this serving me? Is this really putting me in a position that I need to be in? Because when you get up on that other side of them now telling you that you have to take these medications and all this stuff, and like I told y'all, I smile about it because I see some of y'all who I know. I mean, I take medication every day of the week. That's not weird to you? You didn't do that as a child. So why as an adult does that make sense to you? You didn't even take medication at all as a kid. But now as an adult, it makes sense to take all of these varying things every day. Crazy. Yeah, look at vitamins and minerals. Like I said, I'll wait. When was the last time y'all seen a video or you saw a commercial where they was like ginger causes your eyes to bleed and never. But you got all these other commercials that they got out that they tell you every time something's wrong with you, you need to take a shot for, and they give you 75 things that can go wrong when taking the medications. And we pop that like it ain't nothing. Yeah, I got to get that. I need that. Okay.
Well, the people are ignorant to me. Like those is to me is, and I hope we're talking about younger people, because older people, those are guineas, and it just goes without saying. Some of this shit, man, it just goes without saying. A couple of things that happened, people don't know about, funny things to me, and then we're going to get to what happened, what we talked about off the air.
Okay.
So Trump comes out, 4 or 5 comes out and said, yeah, they invited me to the World Series. Then Major League Baseball comes right out on top of that shit like, yo, ain't nobody call this dude. Ain't nobody invite this dude to the World Series, right? I just think that tickled the shit out of me. Shit like that always makes me laugh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was
Yeah.
watching Curb Your Enthusiasm last night, you know, and fucking Larry David is fucking off the chain. So the motherfucker goes into the back. He's like in a meeting in like a studio, like TV studio building. But he goes in there, and when he goes to take a leak, you know, sometimes that thing won't stay up. The back of the
Yeah.
toilet, the
Uh-huh.
lid won't stay up. So if you're a man, this shit is aggravating because you're trying to, this gonna cause problems. So he's doing all this crazy shit. There's a whole scene, him trying to figure out how to piss, right? Anyway, when he gets finished, he goes back in the dude's office. Now this dude's like the president of the company. He's like, yo, not for nothing, but the lid in the men's room, you know, the shit won't stay up. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna call maintenance, man. I'm on that. Good looking, thanks. He leave. Come back later on to another meeting. He come right in the meeting. He go, hey man, I went to the bathroom before I came in here, man. Shit still ain't nobody fix it. He said, what? I called him. He said, you called him? He said, yeah. Man, I'm gonna get on that dude, man. I don't know what the hell going on. I called. They get into a whole thing. The third time, like, I mean, a whole all-out argument. Because he's like, yo, you supposed to call this dude and call. So basically, he called him a liar. You know what I mean? I come to find out at the end of the shit, the dude, Jose, whatever his name is, Spanish dude, that the maintenance guy, he just be lying. Like the nigga did call him, right? But the whole time, Larry took the other side. Like, Larry, like, why would the maintenance guy lie? You know what I'm saying? Fuck you lying about, man. I just asked you to fix the toilet. So little shit like that be tickling the fuck out of me. Now, I don't know if you ever watched those Harold and Kumar movies,
Yeah.
the comedy joint, and
White
the Indian,
Castle.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the Indian
Uh-huh.
dude, he plays on House, the show House.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Anyway, he just came out that he's gay. Who the fuck cares? First of all, right? Who? Two questions. Two is a two on one question. Who the fuck cares if this guy's gay? And B, who the fuck didn't already know that?
Yo, aren't you always amazed when certain things come to light that seemingly everybody should sort of know? Like, you know,
This
like
guy,
I'm always like, all jokes aside, I always be like, okay, this made the news because we really don't have anything in the news cycle. Like what are we doing here? Look, nobody is chasing you, sir, or whatever. Because let's be clear, your situation is your situation. Like, and again, I know that unfortunately now,
yo,
based off of the climate we're in, we have to now pick certain pronouns or whatever we, supposed to be picking. I still don't understand half of this stuff because I'm like, look, if in my mind you look like a specific thing, unfortunately that's what you are in my mind. I know that there's pronoun choices now and all this stuff, but I'm not as savvy as that because you look like a boy to me. I'm if you started transforming, I get that, and I understand that. But sir, last week, my nigga, we was balling.
my
Like
nigga,
this this week, you mad at me because you rocking purses and skirts, bruh. Last week we were
bruh,
going at each other. Like, are we like yo, I swear to God, on my block, this is a true story. My older brother was just telling me this. So the building right next to my house, somebody had taken their bike and chained it to the bottom window of our house.
right,
So my brother, sees this and we like, yo, like what the hell? So he rings the bell of all of the house next to us, whatever. So, one of them comes out, he goes, oh, that's my people's bike, but she's asleep right now. Now I've seen the dude. He got hair like Fabio,
right.
but he's a dude. You know what I mean? Like it's a straight dude, but his hair looks like Fabio. He got the long, crinkly, curly joint, whatever. So his roommate comes out and is like, she's asleep right now, so I can't do anything about it. So my brother Sid is like, yo, now you need to get this bike up off our joint. Like you can chain it up to something else, like, whatever. So he gets the dude, he comes down, he takes the bike off, he changes it to another fence or whatever, and he goes back upstairs and goes to sleep. His roommate comes down and takes it here. I don't think that you was using the right pronoun when describing my friend. So, my brother used to work in corrections. He's seen just about everything. He said, look, if I did call, him or her or whatever the wrong pronoun. He said, I'm not sure if I did. I kind of apologize. He said, but if you clap one more time, you're gonna be asleep. You're gonna be asleep. He said, so I suggest you going back upstairs and let it go.
Hey,
Like,
this is a perfect time to become illiterate all of a sudden. Like, yo, I don't think you use the right pronoun. What's a pronoun?
like, what would you like me to do, bro? Like, stop. First of all, you were in the wrong. How do you chain your bike to somebody else's house window? Like, you were in the wrong to start. So, if anything, let me humble myself. My bad. I'm gonna move my bike over here on my side on our fence and be okay. But it was the clap that ticked my brother off because he was like, I was fine until he started clapping. You use the wrong. He was like, I'm standing there, I was looking at him. I was like, does does he know he's a 2 seconds off of being knocked out? Clapping in his sleep, like, oh shit, wait a minute. Stop. Don't do that. Like, I get it. We get emotional about stuff. You're in the wrong. Humble yourself. My bad. Let me handle things accordingly. Like we got to stop. It's too much now, yo. This whole empowered whatever. I get it. I get it.
But how about this though? How about with everything that changes, right? And this, maybe I'm stupid, but with everything that changes over time, if the world moved to the right for 99 years, and then on year 100 we go, yo, no, we're changing that. Everybody's moving to the left. How about it's going to take some time for everybody to get on board and on page and get reacclimated and used to whatever this new thing is. Motherfucker, every time the year spins 20, 21, 22, it take me 2-3 months to, when I'm filling out writing the date on something, to write the goddamn year that it just flipped to. How about we take that approach and apply it to real shit changing in life? Why are motherfuckers getting in an uproar if I fuck up the pronoun? This is all new, you know. So how about when I go she and it ain't she and it's them, and then it goes them and it's her and it's he, and calm the fuck down for me.
Yeah.
How about calm all the fucking way down, all the way, all the levels of calm fuckery down to the bottom, and take your time coming up. Everything, that's the shit that bugs me out. That's 0 to 60 shit. I can't do it. Anybody that's watching, if you ever text me some shit I don't like and you don't get no response, let that know. You need to know. Let that be the reason. Because you just said some shit 0 to 60 on me that I'm not going to with you. So you in cyberspace had that argument. I'm not doing it. So how about that's what we apply to these new things? We were just having a conversation, getting fucking a little irate and trying to understand that who the fuck wakes up? There's how much power the gays got. They got so much power they wake up and rewrite the dictionary. So now all that shit you will argue motherfucker down. Why? Because you have read the definition of said thing and you grew up on it and you're 50 years old and you think you're a fucking representative of what it means. And then you go to look at it and Webster and his little fucking kids and cronies, they done changed the whole goddamn meaning. So now that makes these people who are closely connected to it jump irate, 0 to 60. Yo, that's the wrong pronoun. Okay, calm down. First of all, lower your fucking voice.
Let's start there.
Hey, don't come for me. Don't come at me like that. Let's talk about this. Maybe I did. I don't know. What's the new shit? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. You know what I mean?
It's going to take me some time to get there, though.
I'm not perfect. I just learned this shit. Every time the fucking year changes, no bullshit. And I'm not the only one. We all go through this shit. We 2021 all year. Then here we go January. Scratch that shit. It's 2022.
Yeah.
2022. You got to keep doing that shit. And you don't stop getting caught up in that, depending on who you are, how nice you are with it. For me, by the time we hit end of February, early March, I'm in. But then guess what? Next year, I got to do it again.
Facts. Well,
so hold on. Let's talk about this news story, bro. We almost fucking forgot. I got sidetracked. big deal happened, right? Now this happened in New York, right?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most famous drug dealers. When shit, I don't know how many rap records his name is. Like when I think of
Yeah.
the Big Meech, that's funny because I was just cut off right before this show. I was finishing BMF
Okay.
with Big Meech and them in Detroit.
Mm.
So it's funny because it come right from that, and this shit happened in real life. Alpo, one of our New York Harlem cats that rocked out with one of the biggest, like I said, biggest name drug dealers in New York history of it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When they got caught back in the day, a lot of the word on the street is he had snitched or something,
Yes.
right? To get a deal cut, some shit. That was the word on the streets. You ain't getting it from me. It's the word on the streets. And he did his time or whatever the case may be. Now, their connection, they were very known for their connection running up and down the Eastern Seaboard. So DC up, you know what I mean? Virginia, you know what I mean? That was their thing all the way up New York, maybe a little further, whatever. And became big from that. So now, let's just say the story's true. He snitched, whatever. He did a little time. But he gets out, and over this weekend, he was murdered in a drive-by in New York.
In Harlem yesterday morning.
Do tell.
So, again, this was one of those things that, for me personally, and it came when I saw it, talent. It came from one of your partners up there in the 914 area code. I follow Pete Rock on
Yeah.
Instagram, and I happened to see it on his thing. And what stuck out to me was it said it was from multiple credible sources that this had happened. Which normally when things happen, the first thing I do is check CNN and all these varying things, because sometimes people jump the gun and pronounce people gone, or certain things happening that haven't happened yet or didn't happen. So when I saw that, I was like, whoa. But what struck out, or what had me amazed about it, and maybe I'm just naive. Obviously, again, he's one of the more well-known drug dealers in New York history, if not the history of the game, period. And again, according to law, he supposedly snitched on people and so forth and so on. What I couldn't understand is how and why he came back to New York and or to Harlem,
Right.
because he left a legacy of sorts that in its own right was, it had a duality to it. It had some good stuff and it had some bad stuff,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
But the craziness to me was you had people really feeling a specific way about you. My thing is, and this probably goes for a number of people who find themselves in that line of work or various lines of work where they then have to do certain things in order to preserve themselves. I'm thinking that this man is spending his time in Ypsilon nowhere, just
Witness
living the rest of his
protection.
days out, you know, to be honest with you. But when I found out he was truly in Harlem, being the same, person and energy he was in the 80s, now here in 2021. And by the way, I need to preface this because for some people who don't understand the magnitude of this, from 1980 to now is 40 years. So I want y'all to let that marinate for a little bit. That's already 40 years. Sir, you really thought it was a good idea to come back here and parade that energy and that information in front of people who you harmed in various ways, whose children's children are now adults or whatever, and didn't think that there was going to be some semblance of karma or whatever? And you know the game. That's the other part of it. Now, here's what I will say, which I thought was really interesting, and this was a conversation I was having with somebody today. Maybe two things. Maybe first and foremost, he did or did not think that harm would come his way, or
Uh-huh.
maybe he wanted to solidify his legacy in his own mind with going out the same way that he had started this whole thing, which either way is still bananas to me, because personally, I already felt like, bro, your legacy was cemented no matter what, because the way you carried yourself in those 80s and in that time frame,
Mm-hmm.
bro, you were a legend already. Whether people loved or hated you, you were a legend no matter what. So I just thought that that was really, really interesting.
Well, let
And
me say this about that though, and I see this in my line of work all the time. Some people get addicted to this life of notoriety, um, and even when they are legends, if they're living legends, they can't see it. I know
mm,
a lot of cats that I consider legends, legendary, they icons of what they do, blah blah blah. But knowing them personally, they can't see it, so they keep doing stuff that they shouldn't probably be doing because of that, right? Now, in this particular case, being who he is coming back here in New York and Harlem, this could have came from various angles. This could have came from the angle of that young dumb dude on the come up doing what he used to do, like, oh, this nigga come and try to take these streets, right? Could have came from, like you said, you have a lot of people, man, who families feel ill towards the past that it may or may not ever got over that. Now, like you said, 40 years sound like a lot when you look at it certain ways. If I look at it from the incarceration calendar and calculator, it's a long time. Oh man, it's 40 years, blah, blah, blah. However, if I look at it from the hurt family member, it's not, because if you killed my dad, or the rumor was you had my dad killed, right? And now I was, I don't know, I was 3 or 4, and now I'm 44. You don't think I still feel
some,
I'm still a young man at 44? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's not even including the ones who wasn't technically born yet that learn about it after the fact. So it's a few angles that it could have came from, but I'm with you. It, like, to me, bro, like, again, some people can't see the forest through the trees. But if you could see that you was a legend and you do get out and you got some of your life left, man, go enjoy that. Do regular stuff. Enjoy it. Go. I would go where nobody knows me. I would lead a different life, bro. I really made it because I played a game at the highest level that a lot of people, the majority, don't walk away from.
yes,
And I walked away from
yes,
it. No matter what I did, whatever. And you know how the streets are. It could have been a straight up and down, just a straight up snitches get stitches type of thing. If I think you did, snitches get stitches. It's so many things, that angles where that could have came from in particular. But to your question, it's a valid ass question. Like, why?
yeah. I
But
was
then
just
again, what about those people that don't have nothing nowhere else? Because I always say this: the hardest thing in the world to me is to get up and relocate, especially to a place I don't know no fucking about.
that's and that is a valid point as well. But I just think that again, like I said, the and you like you said, I guess there is a high to certain forms of certain forms of things that people do, and for him, because as it's been quoted saying, he called himself the king of New York, on
Yeah,
more than one occasion, and he felt as though now, just to really give everybody here some background, I personally had two separate run-ins with that gentleman on two separate occasions, and in both times I didn't feel scared or terrified. They were just very interesting moments in time, because one happened to be when the carnival used to come to 161st Street. I don't know if you remember that, T, when the carnival used to come to 161st Street. I'm there at a particular time, and this young lady who I was digging, I was trying to win her a bear, because you remember how they used to have the bent rim,
yeah.
shoot the basketball on the bent rim.
How
So
long
I'm
did it
playing.
take for us to figure out it was a bent rib?
Okay, but I'm trying to win this bear and impress her, and him and one of his henchmen roll up, and I don't know if you ladies remember the rectangular Louis Vuitton bag that used to be back in the day. His boy had one of those, and he just reached in there and pulled out a bunch of crumpled $100 bills and placed them on the thing. So I'm trying to shoot, win this teddy bear, and people are like, "Yo, man, get off the thing." I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm trying to win this teddy bear." So then he turns to the crowd and is like, "Nah, let little man shoot." So I'm like, cool. I shoot, make my shot, get her a teddy bear. We roll on. My friend's like, yo, do you know who that is? I'm like, nah. They was like, that's Alpo. I'm like, it's still not ringing a bell to me. I don't. That doesn't mean anything to me. They're like, dude, that's one of the biggest drug dealers in all of New York City. I'm like, oh. I said, well, maybe if y'all had started with that, that might have had a different effect on me, yo. Yo, the way it looked to me, I just thought he was a regular dude who had some bread. I'm cool with it, whatever. And then the second time, and again, another true story. I was one of a cat that I grew up, very good friend of ours. He was an only child, but he was always super into working and all this stuff. And at this time in the '80s, he had bought himself a Jeep Wrangler,
Okay.
and we used to just cruise up and down the Grand Concourse, playing the music loud like everybody else in the '80s or whatever. And what happened was he decided to go into Harlem. And I'll never forget this because my brother, it was myself, my brother, my boy Kahim, and my man Eric. And my brother told him, he said, yo, let's not go into Harlem, man. Let's just kind of stay, in the Bronx. And he did chose not to do it. We went over the 149th Street Bridge, went down to 8th Ave, cruised down 8th Ave. And the trestle where Rucker Park is,
Mhm.
T? We turned under there. And on this particular day, Alpo and his team was out there, doing donuts and, just traveling around through Harlem as they, were known to do. And we messed around and made a loop and we pulled up right on the truck that he was in. And when I say we tapped his bumper, I mean, not, and I'm not talking about a tap with a car jerked or anything. I'm talking about like a light tap. And all I remember is a bunch of gentlemen getting out with guns. And that was the first time I'd ever really seen guns up close and personal. Prior to that, I only seen them in the movies. And I'm looking at all these guns, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is not gonna go well." And I just remember him coming, and he was asking us. He was like, "Yo, what we gonna do about this?" And we was like, "Bro, there's nothing wrong with your bumper." Like we looking at it like this. He hit us, true story, he hit us with, yo, maybe we can, do a monetary thing. So he told my man Troy like $500. And if y'all remember the late '80s, 500 back then, $500 was like saying $10,000, for some of us who was only 15, 16 years old. So Troy agreed. And he told him, he said, well, let's go to the bank. Malik called the audible sidebar. Yo, let's not do that, dog. If you go to the bank, they're gonna make you take everything out of your bank account. Troy was like, you know what? You absolutely right. They messed around, and as soon as he said no, well, actually, just before that, Alpo said to Malik, and this is how I knew, things was different. He said, I know who you are. So he was like, yo, your name's Malik Sealy. One of the, basketball stars of, our city, whatever. You, back when the Daily News used to have the jackets and all that stuff, he said, I know your pedigree. He said, whoever you with, you good. He was like, well, I got my brother with me. He said, y'all are good. I ain't got no beef with y'all. He said, but your man, me and him got to figure this out. And as soon as, my friend said he wasn't going to, come up off the money, they stole on him and then they kind of roughed him up from under the trestle back onto 8th Ave to maybe like 143rd or something like that. And we was just out there like, it's nothing we could really do. They already told us we couldn't do anything. So I couldn't drive back then. My brother was in driver's ed. So we ended up driving our boy's Jeep back to our block. And we rang his mom's doorbell. It was like, we think your son is in Harlem Hospital. You may want to call over there and check on that. We're not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's where he is. And those are like true stories. So I tell people, I said, you just never know, how and when you're going to encounter, people specifically. So that's why that story touched me, the way that it did, because like I said, I had two, personal encounters with him. And, again, I just would have thought that, to your point, having survived what he survived, you would just think maybe he wanted to just play out the last years of his life, maybe quietly somewhere and just, maybe occasionally in his own head basking, what once was.
Well,
And,
drug dealing is one of those things that to this day I'm still torn on how I feel about it. Because I understand both sides, and both sides have a legitimate argument to stand on. So grew up in it, spending up through and without the family, connected, just like everybody else that grew up in the hood. It was everywhere, left, right, up the middle, to on your six, watch your six, all that shit. And I'm a thinker, so I done thought about this shit a million ways from Sunday, and I can't 100% take one side over the other. Like, I understand the plight of the drug dealer. And I understand the plight of the people who hate the drug dealer or who go against the drug dealer or who say that's straight up and down wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'm one of those people. I said at the beginning of the show tonight, I'm one of those people that understand that there was a massacre that set off Thanksgiving. I understand all those bad things, the N-word, all these bad things that the historical foundation of something that we may be celebratory over nowadays. I understand the shit, but I also understand the other side. Because of the vaccine is out right now, I feel like it's that same plight.
Yes.
I've argued with drug dealers and watched them stand their ground like T. You know, especially the it's going to sound like an oxymoron, especially the good ones. The good ones who make all this shitload of money, but spend a shitload of money in the community, in the hood.
In the community. Yeah.
So to me, they're taking money from the bad apples, and yeah, they're making their money, they're getting whatever, but they're putting it back in the hood. Those guys make an argument. They make a case, an argument for what they do. And somebody will come right back with that and go, well, yeah, but they're doing it off their own people. Yep, you're right about that too. But here's the flip coin. If they didn't do it off these people, somebody else would. And 9 times out of 10 is going to be somebody who won't put a nickel back in the community. Because the person who's getting high has chosen to get high. Let's just face it. Let's face it, you know. So it's a catch-22. I've never, but I will say this because we're at the end of the show. I will say this. There's a reason I brought that up and wanted to talk about the drug thing and, for lack of a better terminology, the good ones and all that shit. There's a lot of people who do bad deeds. Nobody's perfect. But then those same people who do those bad deeds, in some form or fashion in their life, do good deeds. I need people to evaluate your life. Every time you think you did something, because we know that wasn't right, whatever, or I cheated the system, or whatever case may be, make a list month to month, if not year to year, of the things you did that you really didn't even approve of when you did it. And you know there were repercussions, or maybe somebody, you got in their feelings, or you lost a friendship, whatever the case may be. And then look at those things you did good. And then put those two lists up next to each other. And this is how you evaluate yourself month to month or year to year. It depends on you. Everybody's life moves at a different speed. And I think those lists next side by side will pretty much sum up who the fuck you really are. Are you a good person or are you not a good person? Because if you got a list with 20 things bad you did that year, and you knew they was bad, that's why you put them on the list. And you lift up your good list and you did 5 or 6 things. You need to go back to that list and do more of those things. I true in my heart of hearts, because there's so many religions. I don't push Christianity on nobody. I wouldn't push any religion on any one person. But from looking at it from a higher source, looking down at us, and they say there's a scale. When your days are numbered, when your number's called and you're done, you better hope that scale tilts to good more than bad. Because then you did something with your life. Then you did something worthwhile, something progressive. And you, more importantly, I guarantee you helped another person other than yourself. And with that note, I hope you're motivated today on a Monday.
I hope y'all are motivated.
Alan Harris, my man, Amir Silly. We splattered on the wall. We love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Tell me you close out, Amir.
Hey, you know how I always tell you guys, it's nice to be important, but it's much more important to be nice. Use that, take it with you, wear it like a coat, put it on like that comfortable sweater, and just let it take you to places that you couldn't even begin to imagine. Because the world really moves on love. It doesn't move on hate. I know they'd like you to believe that. They'd like you to think that that's what's going on. But you see what it is. You already know what it is. And you know how when you move in your own space, when you put that thing out there, you see how that world opens up and it's like, hey, we with you. Let's do it. So it's Monday. Again, let's stay motivated. Let's make it a dope week. It's also the start of a new month. So let's all keep that in mind and do what we can to make this month and all the days going forward just as dope as this one is. We appreciate you. I really do love each and every one of y'all for tuning in every week. And please, let's start telling a friend to tell a friend. More of us to get on here and start building a community. That's what this is about.
Bang, bang.
Good night.